Hello and welcome back to Project 380. In this video I'm going to be installing a wideband sensor and a wideband controller. So why would you want a wideband sensor and a wideband controller? Well, for many reasons. A wideband sensor, which is actually an O2 sensor, but unlike the standard one that did come in the car, which is a narrowband sensor, both sensors measure the fuel and air in the exhaust system. But with a narrowband sensor, it's a very simple sensor. It basically measures on and off, or lean and rich. Whereas a wideband sensor measures a spectrum between lean and rich, all those values in between. Far more accurate than a narrowband. So why is this so important? With a standard engine, there's really no need for the wideband sensor, but if you put an aftermarket ECU on a standard engine, with a wideband, you could gain a little bit of power by smoothing out those areas that the narrowband reads between rich and lean, picking up a little bit of power and making it a little bit more fuel efficient. But if you're running something like a high compression engine, ITBs, a supercharger, or a turbo, you really want to be investing in a wideband sensor and a controller. So I purchased myself an AEM Series X Yugo, which is a wideband sensor, controller and everything you need in one box. In the box you get the AEM wideband controller, the Bosch style wideband sensor and two bunches of wires. Yay, my favourite. So first up, the controller. Not only is this a controller, but it's actually an air-fuel ratio gauge. This is going to be really handy to keep an eye on whether we're going rich or lean. As too lean, we're going to do some damage to the engine. And too rich, we're going to start running into problems. So we want to mount this somewhere where we can easily see it and keep an eye on that air-fuel mixture. Well, I've already got that sorted. In a previous video, I installed this JAS performance panel with 3 gauge holes, and I have decided I'm going to run the wideband controller closest to me, as I've decided this is the most important gauge. But if you watched that video, you know I had a slight problem with this, as this says it fits in any standard 52mm hole, but the outer casing is slightly larger. So it overlaps the boost gauge a little bit. I've decided that I'm going to trim this gauge down a little bit, as this is plastic and the boost gauge is metal, so it's easier to trim this one down. Well, it's not perfect, but it is a lot better. And that secures into this panel with the plastic support and the 2 brass nuts. Now, for the 2 wires. The longest wire has a white plug on the end and a big plug on the other end, which plugs into the Bosch style wideband sensor in the exhaust. So I've got to route this wire from the wideband controller. I'm going to go behind the dashboard and then find somewhere I could go through the chassis down here so I could connect this to the wideband sensor. In the back of the wideband controller there is 2 white plug ports. You can't get this bit wrong, it won't go in the wrong hole. But the wires that lead to the wideband sensors is the bottom of the 2 ports. So that's all routed behind the dash now and into the footwell. Now this car used to have aircon, but now it's a race car. Don't really need it. And I'm not sure whether the models without aircon have this option, but if we pull this carpet up, right there is a bung that I've put in. This used to actually house the aircon drain, where from the evaporator, which was here somewhere, all the condensation used to drip down and through to the floor, but coincidentally that is really close to my downpipe. So I'm hoping the big plug for the wideband sensor will fit through that hole. But I think I'm going to install the wideband sensor into the exhaust first, as it's got a fair length of cable on it and I don't want that dangling around underneath the car. I'd rather hide all the excess wires in here somewhere. The wideband sensor can be installed in the standard O2 sensor hole on the standard exhaust, but if you've made your own downpipe like me, it has got to go in a specific place. This is going to help with heat soak, this is going to help the readings be correct and prevent damage to the wideband sensor. I'm going to skip back to an old clip of me when I made my exhaust to explain that a little bit better. Now the placement of this wideband sensor is quite critical. In an NA setup, this isn't too bad. You could put it pretty much in the manifold. But on a turbo, it is a bit different. So my downpipe, the turbo would sit here, and you don't want the O2 sensor too close to the turbo as it can get heat soaked and give you a false reading. You don't want it too close to the back box as it can read a bit of fresh air on idle and off throttle. So ideally we want it about a metre away from the turbo, but because I still want it in the downpipe, I think it's going to have to go about here somewhere. Now believe it or not, the angle of how you put the wideband into the pipe will affect it and may cause the wideband sensor to fail early. If you put the wideband underneath, it can suffer with condensation lock, and the same in the vertical position. Condensation can form on the top and go straight to the tip of the sensor. So ideally, we need to be 10 degrees away from the center or 15 degrees up above the horizontal. So I'm going to reinstall the downpipe onto the car and see where I could put the sensor, hopefully somewhere about here. So looking at the downpipe from underneath, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to put it on this side of the exhaust as it's going to hit the transmission tunnel. I can't put it too far over this way as it's going to hit the transmission. So I'm going to have to put it directly on top at a slight angle. So yes, this wideband sensor is a standard fitting and it has got a little bit of pre-assembly grease there. So that can be installed straight into my downpipe. If you've bought the AEM X series as a kit, this sensor comes pre-calibrated and it doesn't need a fresh air calibration. So this is ready to go straight in. With the sensor all in now, let's see whether we can get the plug up into the footwell. After fighting with it for a little bit, that plug is not fitting through that hole whatsoever. So I'm going to drill that out a little bit. Because that hole is directly in line with the O2 sensor, I don't want excess wire down in the transmission tunnel. I would rather have it all in the footwell, because the other option would be to disconnect it from the controller and feed the white part of the plug up through that hole and then back to the controller, but that would mean I'd have a lot of excess wire down in the transmission tunnel. So to play it safe, I will drill that out bigger, so all the excess is inside the car. So I ended up drilling that out to 32mm and then installed a bung to stop any debris coming in the cab. Now the plug's in the footwell, I can now connect that up to the controller. Now hopefully I can tuck that excess of wire behind this kick plate. This sadly is not going on just yet, as I've still got more wiring to do. Now for the smaller of the two wires, this too has got a white plug and on the other end 7 bare wires. And there's many ways to wire this up, but I am going the simplest of the routes. First off, the black and red wires. That's pretty self-explanatory, 12 volt positive and a ground. Well, I've already got that sorted, as I've got a good source of power here and a good grounding point. All I've got to do is connect it up. And because I've made that power distribution unit, this is already fused to 10 amps. I'll wire that up in a minute, but the rest is where it can vary. You could wire this as a CAN bus system with a CAN high and low, or you could wire it into a serial bus, or wire it directly into the ECU. But luckily I planned a little bit ahead. What I'm going to use is the brown and the white wire, which is 5 volt in and out, which can connect straight up to the original O2 sensor wires in the original wiring harness. Luckily, back when I done all the engine bay harness, I cut off the original O2 sensor plug, which was 4 wires. 2 of them were for the heater circuit of the O2 sensor, which are no longer needed, so I cut them off, which leaves us the other 2, a 5 volt in and a 5 volt out, or 5 volt signal and a 5 volt ground. Now I saved those 2 wires and ran them back into the cab of the car, which are here, a blue wire and a black wire with a red stripe. Now this will vary all depending on what model of MX5 you've got, so double check first. But I'm going to connect those 2 wires up. The blue wire is going to go to the white wire, which is our sensor positive. The black wire is going to go to our brown wire, which is our sensor negative. The other 3 wires I'm just going to cut down and blank. As for me, they're not needed. So I'm going to wire this up off of camera. I'll see you in a second. That's the power and the signal wires connected to the ECU. Now we can plug those wires into the controller and put the controller into its home. That's looking pretty good there. All that's left to do is turn it on. So that's perfect, it's saying heat, it's now heating up that sensor. So I'm going to quickly turn that ignition back off. But because I'm not ready to start the car just yet, and I really don't want to burn that sensor out, I'm actually going to unplug it until I'm ready to start the car. As heating this sensor up too many times in fresh air with the car not running may damage the sensor. With that unplugged now, Hopefully we'll get an error message up on the controller to say that it can't read the sensor. So that's saying sense as it can't connect to the sensor. So I'm happy that's working as it should. So that's just the basic installation of the AEM wideband and controller. I'm going to go more into depth with this once there's a base map on the ECU and the car's almost ready to start. There's a few settings we need to do inside the ECU, and there's a few functions on the controller that we need to play with, but I don't want to mess about too much with that with the sensor plugged in, as I don't want to burn it out. If this video helped you install your AEM wideband, let me know in the comments down below. As per usual, like, comment, share and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.